whatever.
Well, we should change it to our logo.
We should.
Like each one of them can have their logo, like a podcast would be.
Yeah. All right. Let's see when they start coming in here. Hey Magnum, how's it going? We have comments this time, so we can see you all.
Mm-hmm. We also have a Lego army for you guys to enjoy while we break it all down for you.
Yeah, we got a little bit of a preview for the auction tomorrow, so just a teaser. But it's always nice to have stuff on the table.
It's a marketing tactic.
It is. You can add more to the debt box, Magnum. Chungus? No, there's no Chungus Trooper.
What is a Chungus Trooper?
I'm not too sure, but there's been numerous requests for Chungus Troopers. All right.
We have a couple more people?
Yeah, we got a couple more.
Okay, sweet. We're going to get started just a bit, guys. Just waiting for a couple more people to join the chat. I should say join the live stream, and then we'll get going. We finally, as we promised, we delivered. Promises made, promises kept. We have the camera, we have YouTube up and going, so it's a much better start than last week. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And we even have like a producer in the background.
Yeah, Brianna. So thank you all again for coming out. So some of the things we're going to go over today, some new Star Wars collectibles, some news, and Cody's going to go over it. Because there's new lightsabers out, new collectibles out, etc. Christian flexed the muscles right there. All right, we can see your comments now.
Perfect.
Yep. So we're going to go ahead and kick it off with some news with Cody, and then we're going to go into our Mandalorian Episode 1 recap, kind of looking back at some of the predictions that we both made, what came true, what didn't come true, as well as what our predictions for Episode 2 are that gets released here shortly. So,
I don't know about you, but I'm just happy to be talking about anything other than the election. I'm sure most of you have tuned into what's going on. I remember this time last week we sat here and we were saying, is it even a good idea to do our second episode the week of the election? And I said, of course it is. I mean, the election's going to be over by then, but I was wrong. So, but here we are, and we're doing this because we need to take our mind off of politics. Okay, so much division in our country right now, and man, and
it's toxic. It's fatiguing, like to sit there and then you see a bunch of results. I should say results not coming in, right? But we're just here to have a chill chat. So hope you all enjoy.
And there will be no hacking or fraud involved in this podcast.
Oh my God.
All right. So we're gonna kick things off with some news. I wanted to break it down for you though. Some new products. If you guys follow any of the big pages, especially on Instagram, like Yak Face or Kylo Collector, they're usually where I get a lot of my news as far as products goes. They're really good. So I would go follow them if you want to stay up to date, but why would I'm not going to send you there. That's why you guys come here, so that I can give it to you. All right, so a couple things. Last week we talked about the new lights. Excuse me. I'm getting choked up here.
I know.
So I should maybe I shouldn't drink so much soda before we get on here. Last week we talked about the Doc Ondar's lightsabers that were going to be dropping, both the Ahsoka's lightsabers from Clone Wars, the change color, and then Dooku's as well. And literally, like I think 2 days after we said that, last week they dropped. I got the notification. So those are now available when you go to Galaxy's Edge.
And some were signed. Did you see that?
Yes.
Did you see if she visited?
Yeah, Ashley Eckstein, I don't know if you guys saw, she showed up and surprised a ton of the cast members because of everything that's been going on with all the layoffs with Disney. She wanted to make, their day worthwhile. So it was nighttime. I think it was shut off to most of the crowd, just to have the cast members there. And she showed up with the lightsabers in an Ahsoka Tano shirt. I don't know about you, but I would have been. I'm not gonna lie, I would have been fangirling a little bit because I love Ahsoka. She's my favorite.
And some were autographed too. I don't know if she autographed all of them. I know there were autographed ones. And I just read this morning that apparently the Ahsoka sabers, like the regular ones, not not fancy autograph ones, the regular ones have been sold out. Like as soon as they went out, sold out. So if you're trying to get your hands on those, it may take a few trips. You may want to wait a while or check the inflated prices on eBay. So
yeah, and like I said last week, I'm going December 5th with a buddy, and I was hoping they would drop. They've dropped. Now the real question is, are they going to be in stock when I go? That's going to be the real question. So. So we have those, and then Dooku's as well, which, I mean, that one's, I don't know if that one's sold out or anything. I really haven't heard anything about that, but obviously Dooku's got one of the cooler hills in the entire saga. So if you guys are going to Disney anytime soon, keep that in mind. Stop by Doc Ondar's and get it. If you have money, you can definitely snag it before it goes out of stock. Some more news. There was a new Boba Fett figure that dropped, and this made me happy because I'm into collecting the Disney Toy Box line. Honestly, it's a really underrated figure line, and I've talked to a couple collectors that think the same thing. They just don't have enough room to collect them. But I have almost all the Mandalorians, and I needed Boba Fett, and they had an original release of him, just the figure. And I was going to pay scalper prices so I could add them to my collection, but then a couple days ago, they decided to, on Shop Disney, drop a deluxe. Not only is it Boba Fett, but it comes with the Slave One. So that was really cool. Just more of an incentive to go pick it up. I think it's like $34.99. So, I mean, it's a pretty reasonable price. It's going to be better.
For Disney.
Yeah, for Disney. I mean, you're going to have to pay shipping and everything if you don't get it from Disney World, Disneyland, or the Disney Store. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna be picking that one up. Maybe I get paid tomorrow, so maybe I might even be ordering that tomorrow.
Yeah. And some of the legacy lightsabers are for sale on Shop Disney now. You can actually go and order them. So if you can't make it to the park, not all of them, but I know they have Vader. Last time I checked, they had Episode 2 Obi-Wan. They had Darth Maul, and they had some like Jedi Temple guards. They didn't have like all the characters, but you could at least order some of the sabers. Like the ones that they sell, the legacy sabers, as opposed to the like FX ones, you could actually order them online, which is good because not everyone can pay for a trip to Disney, fly to Disney, whatever. You have to
exactly.
Disney, so.
Exactly. Yeah, it's really nice that they're doing that. I think with the pandemic, they thought it would be number one, from a revenue standpoint, it'd be great for the company to be able to sell merchandise and still make money while the park was kind of temporarily closed, and be able to give people that maybe don't get a chance to come to Disney World. A chance to get the products. So, also Sideshow, they have been shipping out the quarter scale, the child statue that they make exclusive to Sideshow. Quarter scale, it's life size. So, well, let me think. I actually, you know what?
Quarter scale of a.
It wouldn't be quarter scale.
Probably.
Yeah, right. So it's life size.
Okay, so it's probably like.
Yeah, it's the life size. Yeah. If you guys follow any collectible pages or Sideshow, I'm sure you've seen it. It's life size, probably about this big, maybe like 16 to 18 inches tall.
Very expensive. If you've never had Hot Toys or Sideshow figures, they typically start around $200 and go all the way up into the thousands. Good thing is though, you can add it to the debt box, so to speak. A lot of you know what I'm referring to, and you can do a payment plan. So there is that option. They also sell them at Disney.
Yes,
they do sell them at Disney.
They do sell them at Disney. This is something new too. They have started uploading Hot Toys to Shop Disney. So you can actually start buying Hot Toys. Some of the older releases, I mean, older is relative. Like I'm saying from like 6 to 8 months back. But I saw there's like some of the Avengers Endgame ones, which I love to collect. So yeah, if you guys are interested, go on Sideshow, and they're shipping those out now. This one isn't posable though. That's the one thing. So the Hot Toys and Sideshow, they each release their own version. I will be getting the life-size child, but I'm waiting for Hot Toys to drop theirs because they're just posable, and I think it comes with a few more accessories, whereas Sideshow's is just kind of more of like a statue. So
I'm more of a fan of Hot Toys than Sideshow.
Yeah, I agree. I think Sideshow does their own stuff. I don't know. I'm sure they have their own artists that they commission in China, but Hot Toys it's the best of the best. I mean, it's as good as it
Do
gets.
they make a Grievous? Because I just got asked if they make Grievous. I can't
They
remember.
do have a Grievous. It's older, and you're going to have to pay a pretty penny for it. It's a sideshow. Hot Toys has not released any. But sideshows, yes, they do have a sideshows out there. So message me afterward. Most of you guys are following my Instagram page. Feel free to DM me. I can point you in the right direction. I'm a part of a lot of buy-sell trade groups for the 6-scale figures, and
You can get them cheaper than paying the scalper prices. So
well, yeah, for the most part. There's a couple people that are asking for outrageous prices, but if you come talk to me, I can help point in the right direction. So that's pretty much it. Oh, one more thing, real quick. Black Series. There is rumors that there's going to be a Bo-Katan and an Asajj Ventress Black Series figure, which when I heard this made me super excited.
yeah, because we don't have those yet.
No,
Right?
this would be a first release. There were some concept images that people dropped. No, like official. So this isn't, take this with a grain of salt. But most of the time, when some of my sources report on it, around 90% of the time, they're right. So if these are true, we'll get images probably pretty soon here. Probably drop at the beginning to mid 2021.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully they don't make them Walmart exclusives like they made the last wave.
Yeah.
Because the past couple weeks I was hunting those down like no tomorrow, and I finally came across them. So some other news outside of products. There's a new Lego Star Wars holiday special that's going to be dropping exclusively on none other than Disney Plus.
Of course.
That's where everything good apparently is nowadays. At least anything good Star Wars or Marvel related.
Can't be free, right?
Right, exactly. So if you want to catch that, I know like if you guys are big Lego people, especially if you follow this guy, I don't know if you're interested in watching, but there you go. Set your calendars November 17th.
Yeah, someone just asked, when's your next Lego auction? It is tomorrow. Tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time will be my next auction. Have some different stuff for sale this time. We'll get to that. But for now, yeah, like as Cody was saying, Star Wars special. I'm not sure if you had anything else.
That's it for news right now. I mean, now it's time to dive into the big topics. If any of you guys were here last week, hopefully you remember most of our predictions. And so,
And some of ours agreed and some conflicted.
some of them, yeah, or some were partially correct.
Yeah.
And wow, I mean, what a way to kick off the season. I mean, what were your initial thoughts after that episode ended?
When we first saw the Marshal wearing the Boba Fett armor, I immediately knew it wasn't Boba Fett. Number one, it was the first shot that I saw of him, like he looked kind of weird, like proportionally, like
Totally.
you could tell that he only had like half the armor because he was like really bulky up top, and then like he got like really slim and really tall and lanky. So you could definitely tell it was not going to be Boba Fett. Now, in case you haven't seen the first episode, go ahead and like mute us.
Yeah, or log out. I mean, normally I wouldn't tell anybody to log out, but obviously you're gonna have spoilers. So
yeah. So just spoiler alert.
just expect that every week that you tune into us. We're gonna be covering the latest episode.
Yeah.
So before you join, make sure you watch it.
Yep. So some things I noticed. Number one, my prediction was, I would say 75% correct as far as the Boba Fett tease. I said that we were probably going to see the back of him or a limb or something like that, and not really see. I said I'd be surprised if we saw a face reveal, and I wouldn't think that he would, say anything. Now, what ended up happening was he didn't say anything. It was a tease. We see him at the end. He turns around, and that's it. So I was pretty correct as far as them waiting to the very end of the episode, teasing it, and then that's it. What I was not predicting was that they were going to tease his armor so early on, and I just didn't really give it much thought. What's interesting is he has like the scars. Now, something that I noticed was, do you remember? So the big, I forget what it was called, the big dragon, crate dragon. I forget the big dragon, the big monster that they had to kill. if you notice how they killed it, there was the bantha with the bombs on it.
That poor creature.
Yeah, I would say, okay, watch the
How about the fact they were using it too when they were trying to lure it out of the cave? They literally had the bantha tied down. Like,
yeah, I was watching it actually.
Pretty intense.
Yeah, I was watching it before Brianna had seen it, and she asked me what I was doing. I said, "Oh, I'm watching Mandalorian." And she's like, "Oh, is it good?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm liking it so far, but so far more animals have been eaten by other animals than there were like casualties for people." So that was kind of funny. But something that we should take note of is the method of which they killed the dragon. So we had the bantha, right? We had the bomb strapped to it, and the Mandalorian's holding on to it, and then is like, "Oh no, don't try walking away." He's like, "No, come back." And then the beast comes and swallows them, right? So, but we know he spits acid, and they made a point that he spits acid and that internally he's acidic, because I think that's how they're gonna make a case for Boba Fett surviving. They showed that the Mandalorian Din was able to survive in the stomach of the beast, which was acidic, wearing Mandalorian armor, and that's going to be how they're going to explain that Boba Fett survived, because he's wearing Mandalorian armor, and the acid was similar, and that's how he survived. That's my prediction. That's how they're going to explain it. If they do explain it, maybe it's just going to be left up to interpretation, but I think that is the most likely scenario, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, first, when the episode started, I think like right away when they referred to a Mandalorian being on Tatooine, I instantly knew. I'm like, wow, already they're already starting with the Boba Fett, and so I guess in that regard I was right. I don't know if you remember last week I said look for them to start this season much quicker than they did last, because they've already built up the storyline. They started this off even faster than I thought.
Oh, it was like.
I mean, yeah, and I was right there with Christian. I mean, looking at the Marshal is what they called him. I didn't think that was the real Boba Fett. I knew obviously it was his armor, but I was like, that would be kind of almost an awkward way to like bring him back into Star Wars. Like he survived. He just like walks in like a sheriff and all that.
And be out of character too. Like,
yeah,
you always hear him as a bounty hunter, and now unless he was like the Marshal and up to like some shady stuff, but yeah, I agree with you. I didn't think it was him.
Well, and let's be honest too. I mean, when you think of Boba Fett, you think of he's working right alongside Darth Vader in the Empire. A little bit more intimidating than just a Marshal showing up, like an old Western. Like this is my town. So yeah, that was pretty cool. I knew though. I did know this. I'm not lying. As soon as they showed the armor, they showed Cobb Vanth in the armor. I was like, okay. He's still alive. He's gonna show up at some point, and lo and behold,
yeah. How do you get the armor and not the person?
Right, right. And I mean, and so I even had a buddy ask me too. He's a big Star Wars fan. I was surprised he didn't know this, but he goes, "Who was that guy at the end that was staring at them right off into the sunset with the bike?" And I said, "Dude, that's Boba Fett." Yeah. So that like little portion was probably my favorite tease that they've done so far in this series.
Yeah, no, it was definitely. I see comments like, I hope we get more Boba Fett. It's not just a tease. We'll get to that because he heard a rumor. So just some other things I noticed. In addition to me thinking that the acid being the reason, this is the plot mechanism for Boba Fett surviving. I also noticed the droid. I forget the lady's name. The lady at the repair bay.
We gotta start getting better names.
If
we're gonna be your news outlet, we gotta totally crack down the whip on our names.
I was so happy when she returned because I liked her.
Yeah.
She's always like so happy. But anyways, she returns, and what I noticed was the droid that she had was, I believe it was R5. So you remember that droid that Luke was like, "Hey, Uncle Owen, we're gonna go get these droids from the Jawas," right? And then they initially got that red and white one.
Yep.
And then I don't
know if it's R4 or something like that.
I don't know. It's the one that's white and has the red.
I remember that. Yeah.
So I was like, oh, there's a lot of droids that could all look the same. So something that you can notice is there is like where his head exploded, if you want to call it his head, in A New Hope, there was like flames around it, right? And then there was like some tarnish. So actually, in the droid that she called over, it had damage in the same exact spot. So to me, that implies it's the same exact droid from A New Hope. I don't know if you noticed that.
No, I didn't. That's a really good. I'll have to go back and watch it and see like if I noticed it. But I honestly didn't catch that. So that's pretty interesting. I mean, I did
talk about your rumor too.
Oh yeah. So tomorrow, season 2. I don't know, or season 2, episode 2 of season 2. I don't know if it drops at midnight tonight or if it's the same time as last week, which is 3 a.m. every morning. If you really are just that diehard Commando fan, I personally, as much as I love it, I love my sleep too. So I'm not gonna probably stay up to watch it when it premieres unless it's at midnight. So with that being said, there is a rumor that it's going to be called The Confrontation. That's going to be the title of the second episode that's going to be dropping. And so, I mean, thoughts, initial reactions when I first heard this, assuming it's true, I'm going to say that Boba Fett and Din Djarin are going to meet each other. And there's going to be either a fight over the armor or, you know, maybe they'll become friends. I don't know. I mean,
yeah, you know, on the friends thing, I don't see that happening. But the important thing here that I think should be noted is I always thought, at least just from the live action movies, Tusken Raiders, they're mean, they're jerks, etc., and they're savages and they kill people. But in The Mandalorian, both season 1 and season 2, we see more of a humane side to them, and we actually see them, of course, work together in this last episode. So I don't want to say it's a change of character, but it shows the other side of them. So I almost wonder if they're going to tweak Boba Fett's character slightly. You know, I still think he's going to be an antagonist, but it wouldn't surprise me if they change his character slightly. Now, you talk about the fight for the armor. We see how the Mandalorian was defensive over the armor, wanted the armor back, insisted upon it.
It's that Beskar, man.
Yeah. So, but the interesting thing is if the armor means that much, maybe, you know, we were talking about a fight for the Darksaber last week. Maybe we're going to see a fight for this armor, because Boba Fett's probably. I cannot see them doing the season without Boba Fett reacquiring his armor at some point and putting it on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you tease it up to that unless you're planning on putting the armor back on the character. Yeah, I mean, so a couple things. Number one, if they do choose to go down the route of maybe making a more humane side of Boba Fett, kind of like I said, we've always pictured Boba Fett as this kind of a little bit more intimidating, you know, the parts we do get a quiet, assassin that's hired by the Empire. His loyalties mostly lie with the Empire. I mean, at the end of the day, he's a bounty hunter. So whoever pays him, that's the side he's going to work for. He really doesn't take sides. But we only know Boba Fett, and since Star Wars came out in the 70s and 80s, I mean, from the first time he appeared, we've known him as one of Darth Vader's like go-to guys to get a job done. So that would be a really bold move by Disney to go down that route. I mean, I think they have the right people at the forefront to tell the story and give that character more depth. I think at the same time as it's risky, it could also definitely add a lot more to his character and show different sides to him. I do stand by my prediction, and I agree with you. I think maybe they do become friendly, or at the very least on working terms.
Maybe I feel like it's going to happen.
It's going to be similar. It's going to be similar. I think it's going to be similar to the relationship we saw at the beginning of season 1 of Din Djarin and Greef Karga. How, you know, Greef Karga would give out the bounty pups, and he was basically the head of the guild, you know. So they really were on talking terms. They were fine until, you know, Din Djarin decided to go take back the child from the remnants of the Empire, Moff Gideon. So
I could see him working with Boba Fett, and then maybe Boba Fett backstabs him in some way.
That's exactly where I was going to go with it. I still stand by my prediction that at the end of this, Moff Gideon will be hiring Boba Fett. I think he's going to do it in a way that he's tempting Boba Fett, almost like, you know, if you want your reputation back, as a legitimate threat to people. If you want the Empire, to basically reign again, like this is what you can do for us. And so, yeah, I mean, I think who knows where this could go. Again, I do stand by my prediction from last week, but I'm really interested to see how long Boba Fett could be in this series. I mean, it might not even just be one season. It might be a long-term. It could be a long-term thing. And then, I think it's only a matter of time before you throw Sabine in there, and then you're going to have. That's why it's called The Mandalorian, not Din Djarin, The Mandalorian, or something.
Because it can refer to like this the people of being the Mandalorian.
Right.
So we have some comments here. Death predictions. Now there was one earlier that said there's also a metal plate on the back of Boba's jetpack where Han hit Boba in the back of Episode 6. I didn't notice that.
I didn't either. I'm surprised. That's a really good. Who caught that?
Magnum, the guy that won your giveaway.
Dude, see, there's a look at that.
There's a reason.
There's a reason. You're strong with the Force, man. No, but that's actually a really good. That's a good observation. I'll have to check that out next time I watch the first episode.
So someone says they think the Boba's gonna turn his back on Moff. I could see that happening. That
could happen
because at least in my mind, when I would think. I know Moff has the Darksaber, but just comparing the two characters that we know about him, I would think Boba Fett is the more assertive and dominant one rather than Moff Gideon. Moff Gideon, I interpret him as some big bad that gives orders, but I feel like in a 1v1, like if there's some conflict there, Boba Fett is gonna, because they wouldn't bring him back and then like just say, oh, he gets beat by this new character.
Yeah.
That we saw a few episodes. So I see that happening if there's a backstab.
It's certainly possible. I think that's where I maybe differ. I think Moff Gideon will end up being one of the reasons that the Empire resurrects into the form of the First Order. I think that he's going to have a bigger picture in this whole.
What if we see a baby, like a kid Kylo?
Yeah, we could see a young Ben Solo. I don't know. But I think Moff Gideon is the big bad. I think if Boba Fett, if anything, maybe Moff Gideon, I'd go as far as to make a prediction that maybe Moff Gideon's working for somebody else, i.e. the Emperor or the Emperor's clone that's still out there.
Yeah.
There's something weird that we haven't found out yet.
Well, we don't know the timeline for Snoke either.
Well, right.
Like, we don't know how old Snoke, we know he was a clone, but I don't think we actually know how old, like how long that clone was around.
Well, he was basically, Snoke was a creation of Palpatine, basically so that if, God forbid, in like what happens in The Last Jedi when Snoke dies, the First Order can turn into the Final Order, and then, the final Empire rules the galaxy. So, I mean, I could see a situation where, yeah, maybe Moff Gideon does hire Boba Fett. Boba Fett turns on him, but not because he wants to side with Din Djarin, because maybe there's a bigger picture. Maybe he wants to play a bigger picture in the greater scheme of things of the new Empire. So that's a real out there, I guess, thought, but it's certainly possible.
Yeah, no, it's definitely going to be interesting how it shapes up. So there's another plot point. Remember, Din got the tip that there was a Mandalorian on Tatooine. Mm-hmm. So my first thoughts when the Marshal showed up, and I was like, oh, that dude's just wearing Boba Fett's armor. He's not a Mandalorian. I had the thought that maybe the Mandalorian that he was referring to was Sabine or someone else hiding out on Tatooine. I had the thought that I thought that that was a misdirection, and guess what? There is an actual Mandalorian on Tatooine, and he's not referring to the one in Boba Fett's armor. Because, the little short alien guy at the beginning, he kills Mandalorians and takes their armor. For him to, I know it's all about the armor for him, right?
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is he seemed to know a lot about the Mandalorians. So you would think that he would know that Boba Fett or the Marshal is not a Mandalorian. I mean, Boba Fett. Yeah. So to me, I think that there's still a little bit of a chance that there might be a actual Mandalorian, such as Sabine or someone else hiding out on Tatooine. That was a thought I had.
It could be. Yeah.
And when he initially pulled in on his bike, right, and all the villagers were looking at him, I thought that one of the people in the shadows. I was looking around to see if there's anyone in the shadows that was looking at him, because I had a thought that maybe there was someone that was there. So there's that thought. The speeder was a pod racer. I'm sure you caught that. The speeder that the Marshal used was a pod racer engine. It could have been Anakin's. It could have been one that just looks like it.
I think it was just meant to maybe look like it. I don't know.
Yeah, and then the last teaser thing that I caught was the Tusken Raiders. So the Tusken Raiders, did you notice what binoculars they were using?
No.
Okay, so the binoculars that they used to look at the creature were the same ones remember the guy in season 1 that was like a kid, he was like our age, wanted to get into the guild. And, okay, and then he got killed.
Yeah.
Those binoculars were the same ones that he used. So either they were just reusing a prop, or that was a slight nod to season 1. That was another Easter egg I noticed. And then lastly, in one of the scenes, what's his name? Sam, the one that voices Darth Maul in the Clone Wars.
Oh yeah.
He was physically in there in the background.
Was he?
Yeah, he was. I forget what scene it was. I saw a screenshot. He's in the background somewhere. So there is that nod to him as well. So those are just some of the things I noticed. So I guess if you have anything else on season 1 or on episode 1, or unless you want to go into your predictions for episode 2.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it for the first episode. I mean, I think what's going to happen in episode 2, I haven't really given a ton of thought into it, but based off of what the rumored title is going to be, I mean, and then how they left episode 1 at the end, I mean, I think it's very cut and dry. I think this is just going to be more of kind of an arc episode to where Din Djarin and Boba Fett will meet. I think that it'll be maybe a little bit slower paced than the first episode, maybe not as much action. And I really don't know if it's going to be anything more than that. I think it'll be a slower pace. I think it'll be a good way to set up the 3rd or 4th episode, which then will, I'm sure, carry the momentum from there on for the rest of the season, because there's only, I think, 8 episodes. So, yeah, I mean, I see this being a little bit more toned down. Plus, I mean, I think they want to give fans as much as they can about Boba Fett. If this title, this working title, the Confrontation, is meant to, insinuate that it is Boba Fett and Din Djarin, I think they're going to want to focus on Boba Fett, what he's been up to, like give him some more character,
I had the thought that, they're hyping it up as the Confrontation, or that's the rumor. Maybe they leaked it out intentionally, maybe not. But what if the Confrontation ends up being the Mandalorian meeting the Jedi, or meeting like something like that?
And absolutely
they could mislead it and make it seem like you're going to meet Boba Fett or something, and then take it in a total different direction.
Well, and here's
Confrontation, a different character.
Yeah, well, and don't forget, I mean, you just gave me an idea. The fact that you said Jedi, I mean, let's not forget that Tatooine is the home of Luke, and now that the Empire is gone, at least most of them, I mean, who's to say Luke didn't go and hang there for a couple years after the Empire fell? Maybe we'll get a cameo from, like you had predicted,
Luke at
in our last podcast. Yeah.
So there's some really interesting comments here. Some of them seem to think that Boba Fett might have been disguised as a Tusken Raider because the Tusken Tusken clothes match season 1.
That is an amazing observation. So out of everything that you've shared with me so far, that is definitely, because you know what? I saw he had the 2 weapons on his back, and those were the Tusken Raider weapons.
I didn't think anything of it. I just said, oh, typical Tatooine hodgepodge staff, like, when we first saw the villagers, I made a comment to Brianna. I said, all these villagers are dressed like Farm Boy Luke or Ray, like. So I just figured it's part of the costume, but no, that's a very good catch there.
It could be, yeah. Ah, man, that's got to be one of the more interesting points, and I think, shoot, we should just do a giveaway if that's correct. we should send a tiny little something. I don't know if it's going to be much, but that is pretty impressive.
Yeah, it looks like there was a bunch of them. So we'll have to go back and review the comments. But it might have been him again. But yeah, so that's some of the things you notice. So prediction that I have is we are going to see the Mandalorian and Boba Fett on screen together.
Mm-hmm.
It would not surprise me if Boba Fett lies about who he is or his intentions. He's probably going to be deceptive and come across, just act like he randomly came across the Mandalorian and be like, hey, friend, how's it going? Something like that. Act like they just randomly happened to cross paths when really Boba Fett was stalking him. I mean, we see Boba Fett watching.
Yeah, I mean,
to me, he's going to be stalking you and then happen to bump into you. And right when he gains your trust, he's going to take the armor and run or something.
For all we know, he could already be in cahoots with the remnants of the Empire. I mean, maybe he already knows who Moff Gideon is, and they've connected. And I mean, I'm sure, when the Empire fell, the remnants tried to go throughout the galaxy to figure out who was left, so they could reorganize and re-strategize their army, so they could bring the Empire back. So who knows? Maybe Boba Fett. They've known this whole time that Boba Fett's been alive, and this is intentional. Who knows? I mean,
so someone else said he has to know who Gideon is. Yeah, I believe that. Best characters, bounty hunters. Yeah. No. So someone mentioned the Slave One earlier. I think I would be shocked if we didn't see the Slave One, or even a part of the Slave.
Maybe we'll see it. Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe Episode 9, we see the remnants of the Death Star, but I'd be shocked if we don't even see like a part of the Slave One or something.
Maybe that's where Boba Fett's been living for all we know. Maybe he's living in, like Rey lived in the busted. I think it was an AT-AT Walker, right? On her home planet. So on Jakku. I don't know why I was drawing a blank on that, but yeah, we could see something very well. I mean, he's gonna have more of like a Wander type look, as we saw. I think he's obviously pretty messed up in the face.
Yeah.
So.
He did look better than I was expecting, honestly. Like, having been in that.
He did. But, yeah.
But okay, so I had a really strange thought too. I want to bring up. So obviously, Boba Fett is genetically a clone of Jango, right? So the interesting thing is, I don't think, at least from the live action, obviously, and to my knowledge, I mean, I know there's a lot of books out there. But in canon, we've never seen, as far as I know, Ahsoka and Boba Fett come in contact. If they do come in contact, it will be interesting to see that initial interaction because Boba Fett's technically a clone. And Ahsoka, I think, if she sees him without his mask, I think is initially going to be confused at the fact that there's a clone that's still alive and still looks like that. And I think that there's going to be some interesting dynamic there if that does happen.
Yeah.
I didn't really think about that, but I started thinking about that more. What's she going to think when she sees someone that sounds and looks like a clone?
Well, and I mean, yeah, that's a great point. And then the other thing too is, I mean, last thing she saw, well, I should say, yeah, was Rex in Rebels, and I think Rex was on the ship with them or in that area when she supposedly died. But then Ezra went into that like multiverse, like the Time War multiverse, and grabbed her out of that scene and brought her back. So yeah, I mean, that would be a really interesting twist too. I mean, these are all really, really great thoughts. I think that look for, there's gonna be some action, like lightsaber especially. I mean, Giancarlo Esposito, the guy that plays Moff Gideon, I mean, he posted photos like midway through season 2, like when they were shooting it, and he said, and I think in an interview, he said that he's going to be doing a lot of action scenes, and I mean, it looked like he'll be dueling somebody with the Darksaber, and I can't imagine that it's not going to be Ahsoka.
What if Boba Fett ends up with like the Darksaber?
Yeah, I could very well happen.
I could see people nerding out in the fan service to see Boba Fett wield a lightsaber.
I could see it. I could totally see it. Yeah, I absolutely could see that.
Like maybe like Moff Gideon ends up with a child at the end of the season, but maybe Boba Fett ends up with his armor and the Darksaber or something like that.
Well, timeline-wise, Jango Fett is the original Mandalorian that we find out. You know, like if you're a Star Wars fan watching, on the timeline, that's Jango Fett's the first, but Boba Fett is the original because obviously the original trilogy came before the prequels and the sequels. So, I mean, how fitting would it be that somebody like Boba Fett does get the Darksaber at the end of the day? I mean, because when you think of Mandalorian,
well, I could be mistaken, but I don't think he's actually a Mandalorian. I think the canon is that the Fetts, Jango Fett, killed a Mandalorian and took the armor, and that's how he gained.
Is that what it is?
I think so, because I think that's how he gained the reputation of being a lethal killer, because he was able to take out an actual.
Very interesting. Yeah.
Which is why I think if you know, as long as that's still canon, unless something's changed, will be an interesting dynamic once Din finds out that Boba Fett is not how he got that armor. He's not an authentic Mandalorian, unless something changed. But that's the way it was a few months ago, last time I checked.
Yeah, well, I didn't even know that piece of canon. So yeah, that absolutely. I mean, obviously he's a clone, so he had to. I mean, is that? This is something I've always wondered. Is that separate armor that Boba Fett has, or is it Jango Fett's armor just really rusted and colored up?
I always thought it was Jango Fett's. I always thought.
So did I.
I always thought it was Jango Fett's. You know, there's a comment here. He killed the Mandalorian and hit the armor in canon. It's Jango's repainted. Yeah, we think it's Jango's.
It's gotta be.
The other thing too is there's a deleted episode of the Clone Wars where there was like a standoff shootout between Cad Bane and Boba Fett. It's like you can see the beginnings of the animation. You can go and look it up on YouTube, but it's like
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, you can tell it's unfinished, but basically they do like a Western style standoff and then they shoot each other. The result is Boba Fett gets shot in the head and the helmet, and that's where the dent in the helmet comes from.
Got it.
Cad Bane's blaster, but ultimately he's the one that assassinates Cad Bane. So that's how that was a deleted episode. There's footage of it on YouTube. Yeah, it's kind of like how Boba got the dent in the helmet.
I think most Star Wars fans would agree that the Mandalorians, their armor is so cool. I love that look. That's what made Boba Fett cool in the first place. You didn't have to say 2 words before everybody's like, who is that character?
Yeah.
Before they had to start dropping a ton of merchandise.
I mean, he wasn't even in the original trilogy that much.
No, right.
Everyone's like, this character.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, so I would be really interested to hear, just out of curiosity, it's kind of a random thought. Because the armor's so cool, like if you had 3 choices to pick, so if you've seen if you've seen any of the later seasons of Clone Wars, do you like the Mandalorian look? The helmet with like the little like aim, you know, like the thing that you pull down.
Oh, the rangefinder.
Yeah, the rangefinder. Do you like it like Din Djarin's helmet where you don't have one, or do you like it like the Darth Maul, like the Super Commando Loyalist that you see in season 7?
They look pretty bad.
I mean, yeah, like so. If you guys collect Black Series, that was the last wave of Walmart exclusives. That is probably my new favorite Black Series figure next to Ahsoka. I mean, I'll speak from personally. You know, drop the comments and see. I'd love to hear what your guys' thoughts are. What you think's the coolest. And while you're at it, your favorite colored Mandalorian armor. I personally do like the Maul look. I love the horns. I think that's just so unique.
I saw them like, why couldn't you be good?
I know.
I have to hate you.
I mean, could you imagine though? Like just because we're such geeks. Like, could you imagine if there's like, you know, Din Djarin runs into another group of Mandalorians around the galaxy, and one of them has like one of the Darth Maul like horn helmets?
I know. That'd be like
that would be pretty freaking cool.
If that happens, we're gonna have to talk about it. But
yeah,
bust that carbonized. Of course.
The carbonized Boba.
Yeah, the carbonized Boba.
Yes.
Yeah, no, so Death Watch 100%. Yeah, even their minifigures are more expensive than the normal blue.
Yeah, the Death Watch or the Mando Loyalists. I mean, it's like I've seen people use different terms for them, but
yeah,
that is a cool look. I love that. I actually got last year. They released like a GameStop exclusive. I think it was a GameStop exclusive. It was like a box. You get the Death Watch Mandalorian Funko, and then you get like a shirt. I love that shirt. I have the shirt.
The mall Mandalorians, they're expensive. The Lego ones are like $20.
See, I don't know enough about Legos. I didn't even know they like made one.
They do. Now they're not as good as they don't have they're the Super Commandos. They don't have like the horns. Now there's custom minifigures that have the horns, and those are a pretty penny. Those are like $30 and over each. But no, it just tells you. I think the common consensus is the mall Mandos.
I think you're giving me some really bad ideas right now. I think if I do, because I'm looking at your Legos right now, and there's some that are really awesome.
Yeah, like this Boba Fett right here.
We're gonna talk about that one. Don't get any ideas yet. I might actually buy this from him. I think if I army build, if I do Legos at all, I think I'd have to army build. And if I army build, it's not gonna be clones. I think it'd be Mandalorians.
Oh yeah.
So, because with this show coming out, like I've always thought Boba Fett's awesome. It's really cool, but with this show, it's like taking my love for the Mandalorian and like their armor and everything. It's like a whole new level.
Yeah. So we're coming up on the hour here. We got about 10 minutes left. They're asking if they can see some of the minifigures. So if you want to, all right, pull out your favorite.
My favorite?
Yeah, pull out your favorite. Oh. Let's just talk about your favorite.
Sure.
All right. So
this one, and then I would also say the Rise of Skywalker Palpatine is probably my next.
Oh, right here.
Is that?
Yeah.
Right. So these two. Yeah. These two.
Yeah. You want to hold them up?
Sure.
And then let's see. So yeah, we there's a lot of customs here.
Dude, I think I might have to buy this off.
Oh, the Boba. Yeah.
So I don't know. Can you guys see that pretty well?
It's pretty cool. A lot of customs here that were done by different people. We got let me see this one right here. Look at all the different colors. So there was a lot of customs this time. Stuff I don't normally have. Going to start at pretty cheap prices. So that's fortunate. But again, if you do want to buy those will be available at the auction tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern time. But yeah, we're gonna have some OG clones, a few P1 here, a few battle droids. We got the special, visor, X-wing loop. So let me show you this. I don't know if you ever noticed this. Most of the X-wing pilots look like this, right?
Yeah.
With the lens printed on. Now there's a few. There's only came in one set where the lens is actually part of the helmet. So you'll notice that it's very different. But we have the rare X-wing Luke with the dual molded helmet. We got some super battle droids, a bunch of grunts and army builders, all going to be starting at low prices. They're going to be starting around $2.20 each. So that's pretty cheap.
C2's Cantina has suddenly turned into more of like an infomercial.
Marketing, right?
Yeah, it's an infomercial.
It doesn't hurt.
So I wanted to touch on this topic, and you know what? I think it's a good idea that we leave it up for debate for you guys to think about, so that next week you can come in and drop your comments, your thoughts. Again, we love hearing what people have to say, whether you guys are just having a good time joking. Some of your theories, they're brilliant. And I am curious to see, now that we're talking about it, if he was disguised as the Tusken Raider.
That would be interesting. I wonder if they're even going to touch up on that, or if they're just going to pass it over and that's like an Easter egg. Because some of this stuff, like, you have to remember, these episodes are like 40 minutes long or whatever. But they, cumulatively, it's longer than a normal movie. But there's only so much they can pack into it. It's like the novelizations always have more detail. So, I don't expect every fan service or idea to be fulfilled. That being said, I think we're going to get more fan service than The Last Jedi, but I don't necessarily think they're going to show everything on screen. They may gloss over some things.
Well, this is what I was getting at, guys. So this is gonna be the topic for next. We'll touch up on the Mandalorian as the season goes on, but not every episode is gonna be solely focused on Mandalorian. I've been wanting to talk about this for a long time, and I love hearing what people think. where do you guys see Star Wars going from here? So, I mean, because you have the sequel trilogy that's been so controversial, to say the least. You have the fan base has definitely been divided. It seems like The Mandalorian is starting to mend some of those differences. And so, we obviously know that The Mandalorian is the future of Star Wars for now, but they're going to do more for many, many years to come. And I mean, Disney's looking to take it in many different directions. So
I just hope they don't go overboard and then it turns into
Yeah, right. Well, every other character has their own spin-off and story. Yeah, that's what I'm going to want to focus on. I think what the kind of direction we want to take next episode.
Yeah, I think the reason Mandalorian's successful is there's not even, when you look at it, some people like fan service, some people like originality. I think it's a perfect balance of both, yes, but I think it's that it brings back that creativity factor. 4, 5, 6 were original, right? 1, 2, 3, for once there was no Death Star or anything like that. We saw more of a political side. That was very interesting. And then 7, 8, 9 didn't really bring anything new to the table. So I think The Mandalorian, the reason it's not controversial and why
they have new, fresh ideas.
It's new, fresh ideas, and you really get that fantasy factor back. When you watch Star Wars, you want to be immersed in it. I mean, obviously, it's not necessarily realistic, but you want it to be as realistic as possible. You want that fantasy factor, that getaway factor, like you're watching a sci-fi movie. Oh, this is awesome. This universe is awesome. And I think The Mandalorian is capturing that versus 7, 8, 9, which were regurgitations of past ideas. And it was almost like it related too much to the other trilogies
in a way,
and to prop it up instead of inventing its own.
And I don't want to keep going down this road here. I think definitely there's some truth to that. But I want to save the rest of this discussion for next week because we could spend probably a whole live stream talking about this. And so I'm gonna want you guys to think about it, and then next Thursday come back with your comments, drop in the comment section. See, we'll address some of them, and we'll share some of our thoughts too.
Someone said if I don't hear Boba's theme at least once, I'm gonna get pissed. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they sneak the quote "no disintegrations" in there or something like that. Sneak a quote in there.
They'll do something to Easter egg it. And if you guys seem to be very attentive, more so than I am, as far as catching little details, you'll pick it up. So, but see, now I'm gonna be looking. See, now that I have you guys, I'm gonna be starting to look at the episodes in more of a different perspective, trying to be a little bit more I guess, attentive to the details and the Easter eggs they might drop.
Yeah, Opa side, I see some of the points you're making. We'll bring that up next week, but definitely, some good thoughts there. I definitely agree with you on Star Wars fans wanting more violence and dark stories. Mandalorian does that. It's darker toned, but it's not to the point of where you can't have kids in the room when you're watching.
Well, and you got to remember too, Disney owns this, so they're only going to go so far to the darkness. I think there's a happy medium. I think it's worked both ways. I think Disney's learning to dive into the older crowd a little bit more, especially since they've acquired these properties like Star Wars. They know
Deadpool. What are they going to do?
Right. Well, they know fans want to see darker stories, want to see more depth. Because it makes the threat, whatever threat that those characters are facing,
it's more real.
It's more real. It's there's more of a relation there, and it adds more of a story and a depth to it. So at the same time that Disney's learning to go darker, I think you saw when George Lucas made the 3 prequels, it got dark and started to get dark in 2. And then 3 got really dark when Anakin turned to the dark side, and so that was a really, and it's not too much for Disney to go down that road, but I think it sort of can act as a checks and balance, and they'll find a happy medium to where it's not so dark that it's not family friendly, but at the same time will satisfy Star Wars fans like all of us, more of an older crowd. So. Yeah, I agree though. I would like to see it get a little darker. I did think the Rise of Skywalker though had its moments with the Emperor.
Even the camera work.
Oh, absolutely.
What can you give me?
Well, Exegol.
And you see the lightning.
Yeah, Exegol in itself was such a. That was to me such a cool planet with the lightning and just like kind of the history of the Sith. It did bring a very like Harry Potter-esque darkness to it. What you saw with the Death Eaters in Baltimore. That's kind of what it reminded me of, and so I did like seeing that. So we're gonna continue the rest of this next week. Don't worry. Think about my question. Where do you think Star Wars is going, other than the Mandalorian? Where is it going in the future?
And here's a question from Brianna, actually. And if you want to give your input real quick, do you think we will ever have a rated R Star Wars movie?
No.
Do you think they will ever do, like, you know how most Marvel movies are PG-13, but Deadpool and a few of the X-Men, I mean, I know that was Fox, but we got some that were R. So do you think, whether it's Old Republic or something else, that we're ever going to get an R-rated?
No, I don't think you're going to ever see a Star Wars movie go past PG-13. I think it's almost impossible. I don't think, I really don't see them needing to. You know, I mean, again, I know there's a lot of us, including myself, that would like to see it get darker,
like
but rated R dark, I don't think it's ever going to go down that path. They're going to have a hard enough time figuring out what to do with Deadpool, especially now that he's a part of the MCU
and part of Disney.
Since you brought, I mean, just that whole makeup, they're already saying they're going to be changing his character a lot. There's actually already controversy surrounding it, and they're trying to make a Deadpool 3 for like 3-4 years from now, and it's already facing some backlash and some creative differences between the director of the first 2 Deadpools and what Disney wants to do with the character moving forward. So I don't think that we're going to see a rated R Star Wars movie ever.
I'm about 50-50 on it. I think it's possible. I don't think it's likely. I think it's possible, and the reason I say that is because I know Warner Brothers is in Disney, but I think it was The Dark Knight Rises. There was a DC Batman movie a few years ago, where there were initial screenings, rumors of initial screening, and it was originally rated R, and then they toned it down. So I think that my assumption would be to capture a broader audience to bring in the money to the box office. But my point is if that holds true, I don't think it's unreasonable. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if they announced, hey, we're having an Old Republic Darth Revan or, Malgus, rated R movie or something like that. Someone said, I think it was The Dark Knight. Yeah, it might have been The Dark Knight. That sounds right.
Yeah, I love The Dark Knight. I think what made it so great was it was much darker.
It was unpredictable.
It was unpredictable, and I would argue it was even darker than The Dark Knight. I mean, as much as the Joker was a dark character, I think it was a whole new level of cynicism in the third one that kind of like broke Batman and literally, physically and mentally with Bane. Yeah. I mean, I think it went down such a dark route, but it added so much more depth to the movie and the characters and the significance of the threat.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I mean, don't want to get off topic from Star Wars. Between the two, I'm in the minority here. I thought The Dark Knight Rises, I like that more.
I agree.
Because it was a methodical takeover of a city as opposed to,
and I love more action too. I love that. That is why when you heard me say it last week, I love Rise of Skywalker, because it's nonstop action, and that's also why I hated The Last Jedi, because not only did it not have tons of action until the end, which we didn't even get like a true lightsaber duel.
It was hologram.
It was so just, even the depth of the characters. I mean, that was the movie to add depth to Rey's character and to Kylo's.
And why couldn't we have,
I think they swung and missed completely on the action and the depth. It did not correlate with me at all. And
like episode 9, and you've seen this before, episode 9 should have been split up between, half of episode 9 should have been half of episode 8.
Well, they should have just kept J.J. Abrams. They should have just kept J.J. Abrams at the helm for all 3, because then he would have been able to tell the Rise of Skywalker story in 2 movies, added more depth, and I think that we would have a whole different discussion and dialogue around the sequel series. And also, why the hell didn't they have Palpatine take out 2 lightsabers like he did in Clone Wars and duel Kylo or even Ben Solo? Yeah, or even 1 and duel Ben Solo and Rey. That is my one biggest regret and knock on Rise of Skywalker. But everything else, with all the action involved, I can't get enough of it.
So just some initial thoughts from me. first seeing episode 7, I thought played it safe, but it set it up to ease people back into Star Wars. Now, my initial reaction, my initial suspicion was that Kylo Ren was going to be redeemed in the end, but I thought the method of redemption was going to be different.
Definitely.
What I thought was going to happen was you were going to find out Snoke was Plagueis, Snoke was Palpatine, something with Plagueis or Palpatine, right? And what I thought was going to happen was I thought that we were going to have, we knew a little bit in 7 that Luke had broken Kylo's trust. We knew there was some conflict between them two. We could assume that, but we hear a little bit more about it being sitting, at the beginning of 8, hearing that. What I thought was going to happen was Kylo Ren's redemption was going to be Luke Skywalker saving his life and Luke getting killed. And I thought that was going to be Kylo Ren's redemption,
which would have been much better.
Was that Luke would have saved Kylo Ren from the Emperor.
And there was a little bit of hinting towards that. Maybe you kind of got that idea on the Battle of Crate when Luke came, and he says, "Are you here to save my soul?" And then he goes, "No."
Yeah.
So
I thought that's what was going to happen. I thought.
I thought it would have made it better too.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's too much fan service. That was just my initial reaction upon seeing the beginning of 8, what I thought was going to happen. So it looks like we came up on the hour. So, you have anything else?
No, I think that's it. Again, guys, really appreciate you tuning in. For those of you that did today, I'm looking at everybody that tuned in. Love the engagement, but we need more. We need to grow this. We want to grow this, and we can't do it without your help. Totally understand. If you don't love this, totally get it. But if you do, which I suspect you do if you're here, share it. Spread the news. I'm sure you guys have people
subscribe,
subscribe, like. If you guys have friends, which I'm sure most of you do, that love Star Wars like this, I think they'll enjoy this too. Bring them along. Share this in your story.
We're reading comments. We're trying to be engaging. Obviously, you all brought up things that we missed.
Totally, and I want to diversify for the conversation. I mean, as much as him and I are trying to have a conversation and give you guys some of our ideas, we're gonna also play off the comments that we're seeing because, if you have this many eyes and this many minds thinking about all the different possibilities, I'd love to hear it. And who knows? I mean, we could be right on the money,
or very off.
Yeah, or very off. Yeah, I think a lot of both when it's all said and done.
But anyways, that's it for this time. We'll see you next week.
Same time.
Same time. Go ahead. Be sure to like, subscribe, and of course, find us on Instagram. We have a C2 Cantina Instagram page, and then we also have our individual Instagram pages, Cody's Collectibles, Brick and Mortar Auctions. I sell Lego, he collects Hot Toys and Black Series, and also sells occasionally. Occasionally. So whether you're looking for Star Wars Legos to purchase, or you're looking for the newest information on Hot Toy Sideshow, or even collectible hunts, I know you like to post them.
And I will be taking you guys on some of them. Again, this will not all be live streamed. There will be times where we will do our own videos and post them for you guys to watch. So there's going to be more than just a live stream for content. That's why I'm saying, get your friends here. Subscribe if you haven't. You're going to love this.
And if you have a topic idea, let us know. Just DM us. Like he said, he can do some videos of some of these collectible searches. I can go in show a video of how to 3D design from start to finish of your own custom, accessories for a collectible or a Lego figure and have them made. Just some examples of some of the things we can offer, not just discussions.
Yeah, and that's a great point. We'd love to hear, maybe if you guys have ideas on topics, maybe we'll pick one of those. But that's it for tonight. Appreciate it. Thanks to Brianna, too, for getting you away for an hour.
Yeah.
Letting him sit here with me and talk nerd. Again, we appreciate it, and we will see you guys next week.
Yeah.
At C2's Cantina.
Definitely.